So, Interpack TV live, 7 Tage von morgens bis abends, volles Programm. Hier aus diesem gläsernen Studio, das jetzt ein bisschen leerer ist, denn wir gehen jetzt rüber in Halle 11 zum Stand von Herrmann Ultraschall. Freuen uns sehr auf eine Veranstaltung, die wir schon lange angekündigt haben. Sustainably Connected, What the Future Demands. Ein Programm auf Englisch mit sehr spannenden Gästen. Matthias Laux wird sie Ihnen vorstellen. Deswegen gar nicht viel von hier, sondern direkt rüber in Halle 11. Matthias, fangt an.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the show. Welcome to our first Interpack podcast 2026 here at the booth of Herrmann Ultraschall. My name is Matthias Laux, and our topic today is Sustainably Connected, what the future demands. Sustainably, that's clear, is no longer a single lever. It's about how materials, technologies, processes, and business models work together. And that's what we want to discuss. Today, we want to explore one key question. What does the future actually demand from packaging industry? And how close are we to delivering to that? I'm very happy to be joined by a fantastic group of experts here today. Everyone is bringing a very different perspective to this conversation. So thank you very much for joining us. Where are we now? Let me start with Micha Augenstein from Herrmann Ultraschall. Micha, thank you very much for joining us today. What is currently for you the biggest lever for sustainability in packaging? And where are we still talking more than actually bring?
Yeah, thank you very much for the introduction. And I think the biggest lever is really in the collaboration. So I think sustainability is nothing that someone can do on its own. It needs to be done through the entire value chain, and only real collaboration can bring us to the next level here. So from my point of view, that's the real game changer. Not only thinking in some area of the supply chain, but having the full supply chain in the view and collaborate truly on that.
Right. We'll discuss this later on. Good point. I'm going on with Felix. Felix Bischopink, he's the CEO from Packiro. Felix, in your eyes, what's the biggest lever in sustainability packaging today?
From my point of view, it's the mindset shift which we currently see in society, which is really looking for sustainability overall. So also sustainable packaging. So it's much more than, I would say, a couple of years ago, where it was more like a marketing gag for many people. I think now it really sees that customers demanding it. And if customers are demanding it, it's a competitive advantage for brand owners. And on the other hand, I saw also government and regulations pushing sustainable packaging in a direction that's basically not an option anymore. It will become mandatory.
So you would say it's the baseline today?
I'm not sure if it's globally already the baseline, but definitely I think here in Europe, I think we all will agree on that, for example, that trends of sustainable packaging are now coming, and I think it will be more and more also in the future.
Okay. I'm very delighted to welcome Jenny Haase from Heyne and Penke. Jenny, what's from your point of view, the biggest lever in sustainability in packaging?
Yeah, I'm also with Micha. Collaboration is, I think, one of the biggest levers, and also the consulting to the customers to bring it to a stage where it runs in everyday production. So the complete value chain is the critical point or the essential point which needs to be considered and observed.
It reminds me of our pre-talk, Jenny, where we talked about collaboration is king, right? So we're going to talk about this later soon. Mr. Ito, he's from Fuji Machinery. Mr. Ito, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
So in your eyes, what's the biggest lever in packaging regarding sustainability?
Actually, we are work with customers' demand. So customer looking for some sustainability packaging. So we will supply our solution. But I heard from the customer. They have some like a recycle recycle chain. It's not fixed yet. Then if even the film is okay, but what is a recycle or sustainable?
Yeah.
This is maybe trouble,
Yeah.
I think.
It's very interesting, I think, that you bring the global perspective into this discussion, because I don't know if it's very different from what's in Europe up to date.
I think Europe is more pushing the
Yeah.
sustainable or monomaterial or environment friendly packaging.
Okay.
But in Japan, it's not so much demand actually. But,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
We'll talk about this later on. Jenny, from a materials and application perspective, right? So where are the real challenges today? What would you say? Are they more technical or are they more driven by market expectations?
Yeah, I think market expectations or our customer expectations are really critical. So it's the very fast recommendation to bring it to the shop floor and to the factory. But I think the time sometimes is too short planned. So you need to consider all the processes before bringing it to the packaging line. That's not only packing and selling it. It's developing the material, producing materials, printing, converting, and all the steps.
Yeah.
And there are in all chains different Herausforderungen.
So you would say it's more customer driven, right?
Yeah, it's really customer driven,
Okay.
and you have to consider all points over the different steps.
Okay. Felix, your business is highly data driven, highly digital. How does that help make sustainability more measurable or scalable?
I mean, in the end, it's I would say always a game of trust. Also, if it's really sustainable, and what we currently see is that we can use the data also for new applications. For example, we collaborate for a long time already with InterZero, and here we work together on really to see which markets are really using sustainable packaging already and which are not, and some are more hesitant and some are not. And I think here also we can use it a lot, but also in production. I mean, in the end, currently we also see that we currently do predictive analysis of what we will produce in the future, and this makes also our production much more efficient. And so we have much less waste due to data.
Okay, great, interesting. Micha, before we talk, of course, about the ultrasonic welding, where do you see real technological breakthroughs happening, right? So, and where might we still be overestimating what technology can do?
Yeah, I think we see in the market, and already these talks we have, when it comes to AI, when it comes to data-driven predictive maintenance, a lot of our customers, they're looking for that. But in the end, it's not ready somehow. So I see also machine builder that push that into the market, but don't have the right solution for that. So everyone is wanting that, but it's not really ready. So either the demand is not really clear, the openness to open the door for that is not there. So this is what I see. So everyone believes in that, but the openness is not there, and the real way how to do it actually and how it's proven is not fully developed. So everyone knows that there must be something with data, you doing that already. But at the end, this how and this harvesting and actually benefiting from that is not so much there. So still a way to go, I would say, technology-wise.
Okay. Do you have trust in the process, Micha?
Yeah, I have trust in the market that the demand and the solutions we will provide will be there.
Okay.
So it worked in several cases already. So the market will take care for that, for sure.
And of course, solutions provided by Herrmann Ultraschall too, right?
Yeah, good you're raising that point. So actually with our digital generator, we are able to provide a lot of data. So we have that already today, but how to provide that into a packaging machine and actually provide that to the production is a path we still need to work on that. Because with that sealing process we have, a lot of data is generated, and this is an added value in the future for us and for our customers.
Of course, talk about later on. Mr. Ito, from a machinery and global perspective, right? How is sustainability changing the way machines are designed? What can you say about that? Are we talking about incremental improvements or fundamental shifts?
Yeah. Actually, we are very focused on the environmentally friendly packaging. Yes. Then, for example, like part of Herrmann unit, we try to use sealing unit. So how to put the unit on the wrapping machine. Then actually, we have some trouble with the like a heat sealing technology. Then maybe ultrasonic is no used heat seal element. So I think this is our point. Yeah.
And this is where we really happy to see that this is helping. So maybe to explain that point a little bit more.
Yes, of course.
And it's like, what is actually ultrasonic sealing? Maybe many of the audience may not know, because we're still like a very special sealing technology. We are there when we provide an added value. And in case with the monomaterials, there is an added value. And why? Because compared to heat sealing, we do not transfer the heat through the packaging material into the sealing area, but we introduce mechanical vibration, and the main mechanical vibration is heating up right there where you need it in the sealing area. And especially with monomaterials, this is an added value. So we are now talking about applications we never talked about. So for example, you can see here the cosmetic sealing of a standard pouch after the hermetic sealing. It was never interesting for our customers. But then a global pet food company approached us and said, hey, we have really issues with our hermetic sealing. Can you do something with ultrasonic? And said, yeah, let's try. And this led us to further innovation now, what you can see here in this combined hermetic and cosmetic sealing station. And this is what I like. You have a challenge you look into, and then you develop something and you innovate on that. We can provide something because we were asked for that based on the sustainability trend. That's a very interesting point. Yeah.
Yes. It reminds me of when we talked years ago, for the first time, we just talked, let me say, just about wet pet food, right? So this was the case.
Right.
And now we're talking about very, very different other things.
So this is an example how we as a sealing technology can contribute to that sustainability trend. But it's just one part of the supply chain. And I think we need to look at the entire supply chain. This is why I like to exchange with you guys here.
Jenny, you are working very close to materials and applications every day. And where does sustainable materials most often fail today? What would you say? At which point? That sustainable materials don't work, just don't work.
Yeah, if they don't work, it's of course the machine runnability, and in most cases it's the sealing. So meeting a tight seal, a gas tight seal, or a water bath tight seal, yeah. And this is the most critical point, where also ultrasonic is of course a very smart solution for reproducibility, tightness, and having less trouble on the machine. So for example, when you're going to a customer and you're putting your monomaterial solution on the machine, there's also a big challenge to explain everything to the main operators of the machine. So the thinking and the way how to handle the materials is very different from standard aluminum barrier materials or OPA PET materials.
Yeah. So despite all the progress in AI, the personal is still crucial.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And of course, for us from printing and converting side, this is also the processing. So there are new systems, ink system, new color systems, which also needs to be established in production, and the handling and the processing. And yeah, it's more often that you need very longer runs to prove a concept, but the challenge is you don't have time, or you don't get the time. So I see a big lever is also coming back to the collaboration and to do a good pre-development, and then go to the machine and succeed, or the percentage of succeeding is rising up. So you don't have 10 different trials or trial and error on the machine. So the customer wants a result, and the customer wants a good result. So it's in short
time to market. So it's always different. Yeah. Felix, are we sometimes pushing materials into applications where they don't belong yet? Are we pushing materials into applications where they don't belong yet? So, if we are pushing materials into an application where the materials don't belong.
The materials, you mean like when, I mean, for example, like,
Well, let's talk about all the paperization.
yeah,
And you use paper maybe for a product, let's say for a product where it just don't belong, just doesn't belong.
okay. Yeah,
It's,
that happens very often.
it's very often, yeah. So please, from your customer.
I think there's one big thing. I mean, everybody's talking about monomaterials at the moment, yeah, and I think that Europe is especially pushing for monomaterials. But I think this is just the start of the story. Yeah, I think now since plastic is not a bad thing anymore, because now finally we have something sustainable, which is plastic. I think there's still a long way to go into total sustainability and circular economy.
Yeah.
So, and I think here, for example, one of the biggest topics coming up, which brings us probably even way more challenges than monomaterials, are recycled plastics. Yeah, which are very, very difficult. Probably even way more difficult to handle.
How about the biofilm?
Yeah, I just read yesterday an article that also in PPWR they will consider bio-based plastics again also. So I truly believe in bio-based plastics. I truly believe in paperization even more. That's a big trend coming up when plastic. Now plastic is a big star, but I think paper will come back definitely, and recycled plastic. So I think all of these materials are coming, and I don't know if it means they don't belong to something, but the start of when they come, or the start of something, especially now when you see recycled plastic without food grade, you will need to make compromises somewhere. And this sometimes means also they probably don't really belong there. But I think sometimes we have to be a little bit bold also in these times of topics, because they will come. And I truly believe here also in somehow of a first mover advantage in this kind of topics. So I think from our point of view, we really want to be very fast in these topics. We want to be first. And this will also need sometimes us to be very bold and also probably use materials where they don't belong.
But can you just name, let me say, one sustainable solution that just doesn't work, that just didn't work, that you figured out, but doesn't work in reality?
We tried already a lot of recycled plastic. We went to several recycling plants and tried to get some of the granulat and try to make films out of it, and then try to print on it. Yeah, if you want to make mailbags for sent via mail, then okay, probably, and print very ugly. It is really, really complicated with all the topics you guys have to consider on the machinery. And I think here really there's big troubles coming up, and we faced already some of them. So we stopped some of the projects and said, okay, we have to wait a little bit until the granulat gets a little bit better. And now I think it's also the time to step in these topics again. But yeah, we face a lot of challenges there.
Okay. Very nice. Micha, you often describe sustainability as a process challenge, right? Not a vision, but it's a process challenge. So what exactly breaks when companies switch materials without adapting the whole process?
Yeah, see, we from time to time, unfortunately, also develop this or discover this. So customers approaching us say, hey, your ultrasonic is not working anymore, it's broken. And then you start asking, okay, did you change anything regarding the film? No, it's the same supplier, so it's still, okay, but is it from the same plant still?
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's from a different plant, and they have a different raw supplier, and interesting, okay. So there's actually a change, and from time to time, this comes up and you discover it. And I'm always wondering, just to compare it, I know the packaging system suppliers like Tetra Pak or Elopak or SIG, and they have everything in their hand, and they can provide a well-established, a very safe solution.
And a whole system.
A whole system. They're providing a complete environment, more or less. The packaging material is very developed. It's aligned with the production process because they own it. And it's in line and fully adapted to their filling lines actually. So they provide an environment. In Germany we say a rundum Sorglospaket. You don't have to care about. You just run the machine and you get tight packages out. And I'm wondering how we can do and how we can copy paste this concept in the supply chain, because it's already there. They show that it's working, and you get a lot of food safety out of that. You get a lot of process safety out of that. So a lot of added value comes out of that if you align the entire supply chain. And so I'm wondering how we could manage to get rid of engineering hours or days just to get a material run on the machine, to adapt that to the sealing process, also monomaterials and recycled.
But Micha, I think that's the key point we talk about. But what the future demands, I mean, this should be the answer.
I think so. But I'm wondering from time to time why it's not there. What is preventing us? So maybe I think you have a really nice concept with your pouches. I was quite impressed when you showed this at our ECPA event, and I think this is the first step in that direction. You're providing something that goes in that direction.
But I'm pretty sure that I know the answer on all of our questions. It's not 42.
But Felix, where do you see your limitations?
It's money.
Okay.
It's money. The costs are so high to do this switch, and I think the packaging industry in total, across the whole value chain, was completely trained and focused over the last 20 to 30 years on efficiency, brutal efficiency, and really driving costs to the absolute minimum. And if have fancy ideas like using recycled or doing whatever with paper or running this on the machine, the projects are so expensive, the switches are expensive, the downtimes are expensive, the risk is super high. So I think the risk and the money which is needed to actually do this kind of steps, which are necessary, I think is the biggest problem. Yeah? And I think this is something governments also can solve, because I think the customer demand cannot fully solve it by itself. But I think here's something like governments, this is kind of a regulation topic where you need to also provide sufficient funding, but also make the rules in a way that money is not a kind of the biggest topic anymore. So it needs to be a business-driven decision. Yeah, so it needs to make sense in terms of financial invests, and to have a clear approach. I think this is one of the, from my point of view, most important topics, between sitting a lot of engineers here.
But isn't there already a lever by you just copy pasting your product for certain industries? Like you say, hey, I have a pouch for that product. It's proven. It's running on that kind of machine. I see already a step in the direction, but maybe I'm not too close to that.
We're in familiar terms, Felix. Let's go.
Yeah. No. The problems are much bigger, which I think also here, there's so many, I mean, especially, and we don't want to stop with monomaterials, yeah? And I think just giving you an example, we just discussed this topic. If you now think of having monomaterials for coffee pouch or something, and now you want to go for a spouted pouch, which are detergents or whatever in there, you directly need to start from step one. Yeah, you cannot just copy paste and go into this industry. So even with our concept, with monomaterials, there's a lot of stuff which you need to consider, even to go into different industries and different solutions. But it's possible. But on the other hand, what I just said is about using recyclates, using paper, using a lot of other stuff which are coming. I think here you always need to start from scratch, and it's not just copy paste.
Yeah, I think I fully agree with you when you say it's the business decision which needs to be taken, and to invest in and to have the will to change something, and that costs money. Sustainability is not for free. So, and that's the key point which should bring the customers into their mind. So the low-cost sustainable solution, I think it's not possible at the moment. So maybe in a few years. And it's a pity that because we are talking about this topic for over years. So for many, many years. Okay. And now the time to market is so short because, it's like, the PPBR is coming and SUPD and all that regulations. So yeah.
So could we say, Jenny, that you're a little bit tired of explaining to the customers what it's all about, or?
Yeah, not tired, but no, that is the wrong word. It's always a challenge, and yeah, that is the question of consulting and bringing it and answering the questions from the customers, and also a deep dive into the separate materials, also paperization, which is a very big topic, barrier papers everywhere, and even we are developing our own barrier papers in different applications. So this is a really big topic, and one big important point I see also are the recycling companies, which need to provide the right way for recycling.
And which are in big trouble.
Easy way, like bioplastics, for example. I also see a big future, but we have to work on the recycling stream.
We'll come to that topic later on. Very good. But Mr. Ito, I would like to add the machinery perspective once again. Are we still optimizing existing systems, or are we reaching a point where we need completely new machinery systems?
We are from the horizontal wrapping machinery. So the horizontal wrapping machine method is same, but actually, sealing element need to be changed. For example, like Herrmann. So, yeah.
Okay, but are machining in your eyes currently limiting sustainable materials, or what would you say?
It depends. We do every time test. So we get the film, then we test actually.
Okay.
Then we tell the customer.
Okay, and what is the biggest bottleneck worldwide? What would you say?
What's the biggest?
The biggest bottleneck, the biggest problem facing your customers are facing regarding sustainability?
Of course, each customer request different demand, like a seal integrity change different, and the speed different, appearance level different. So we cannot tell, this is the standard.
Okay.
So I would have a question here for you as machine manufacturer. Do you see a chance in like also providing like tested materials for certain products, industries, applications already? You would give an advice to your customer and say, hey, you're doing a candy bar, so I propose you to use that material from Jenny, for example, that it's running already in 50 applications in that kind of area. So is this happening already somehow?
Yeah. From our experience, we can advise. Maybe this is possibility there. So yeah, but it's depending on customer.
Because I would really see a lever in that, because you're also close and supporting the customer and advising him. And maybe you could say, hey, okay, we can invest 5 days of engineering testing your material, or I can support you in getting one that's already running. You maybe need 1 day.
Yes, we do. Actually.
Okay. Felix, is sustainability sometimes just an excuse for solutions that wouldn't work otherwise?
An excuse?
An excuse, it wouldn't work under real production pressure.
You mean that sustainability is then taken as an excuse to?
No, it's an excuse for solutions that wouldn't survive under real. It wouldn't survive under real product pressure.
You mean if it's not sustainable?
Yes.
Is there any?
I don't know. I would like to point out if sustainability is just another word for it won't work, it doesn't work. So you try to find an excuse, and then you make it just like in the traditional way.
I mean, maybe this is a little bit close to my perception of recyclability, because in the end, I think we all clap now on our shoulders that we have recyclable packaging. But this is only it's still virgin plastic, and there's, in terms of sustainability, I would say, we finally get there if we really have a circular economy, and we probably use the plastic in the third time. as a food grade packaging somewhere. And I think, here, from my point of view, it's a good first step, recyclable packaging, but we should not stop there too long and be too proud that now we have shifted all our machines to recyclable packaging.
What do you mean by too long?
I mean, I think
2030,
2030, it's mandatory. A lot of virgin plastic will be used until then, but also afterwards. I think we really need to get rid of using only virgin plastic in all our applications, and I think this is very important. And I think until we only use virgin plastics in most of our applications, I think it is an excuse and to say, okay, but at least we have it and it is sustainable. But is it really the full story? Is it really the full circular economy? I would say no.
I mean, if you look at the word recyclable, it's already saying that it's not done. It's able to be recycled, but at the end it would be, if you
never thought about that. I never thought of that.
You know, if you say it's recycled, then it's actually done, but recyclable, it's like just you could do it, but you could also just throw it away, right? So just becoming aware when you said this.
Yeah, and I think we have thousands of customers in our portfolio which are fairly small and are not packaging experts. And if you would ask them, okay, now you have a recyclable packaging, is it recycled? Yeah, for sure, it's a recycle. This really small, slight difference of this word is for many also our customers like coffee roasters or whatever, clearly not distinguishable to is it really recycled or not. So it's also quite tricky in the wording.
Jenny, what would you say? What is currently harder, developing the material or making it run?
Oh, I think both are big challenges,
Okay.
and it's I would weight it at the same level. So indeed.
Okay.
So because to develop a material, you have to imagine you cannot only produce 1,000 meters. It's already one step before at the film suppliers. Also, they need to run big extrusion lines, which need tons of material. Also to prove reproducibility, and this is the same over our processes and printing lines, converting, lamination. So it's always a proof of concept. It needs to work every day, hour by hour, shift by shift. So this is a really big challenge.
Okay.
So material can run for 10 minutes, but
for both. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Micha, from the perspective of the ultrasonic welding solutions, right? What are your favorite materials overall?
Yeah, I really love the carton material actually, but it's fiber based. But at the end, it's like I also love it because they have this in ecosystem already, because they have it really under control, and I like that they have from the beginning to the end. Okay, maybe not fully the end, but it's a nice product. And some of them also saying protecting what's good. I like protecting things that are good. And it's a cool natural material. Okay, difficult to recycle still, but I think really a good valuable product that is done out of that basically.
Okay, and that fits with ultrasonic welding.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, there is now the trend in the market to go away from aluminum-based barrier there to go to other barriers. And in the past or also recently, they need a sealing system that uses the aluminum to induct the heat into that. And with ultrasonic, we can again use this added value to enter the mechanical vibration, generate the heat where it's needed. And this is a big lever also to enable sustainability in that area actually. And also we're doing this since years. I could also always say decades maybe. And this is why we are also ready for the paper-based material basically. Either if it's with thermoplastic layer inside or even without any thermoplastic material, we could also utilize the sealing technology basically. So, and this is again a change. But then think of what could you pack in pure paper? Maybe not a pet food, maybe not a Capri Sun. So yeah, it's quite limited on the other hand, but it's a trend, and we are also ready for that from the sealing perspective, basically. Yeah.
Felix, what's your external point of view talking about the ultrasonic welding solutions?
Yeah, we use it for some special topics, especially like the zipper in our pouches. Always kind of a tricky spot where we use ultrasonic, and I think it's quite interesting. But I truly believe also in this paper topic because I mean, in the end, paper always needs some sort of polymers to make them sealable. And I think for sure the whole trend will go in the direction that we need to get as much as possible rid of polymers in our paper applications. So I think here to find a way that we don't have a really, really thin polymer film or whatever, or even only on parts where you need it, and then use ultrasonic to seal it there. I think this is very, very, very interesting.
Is there already a paper-based pouch in your portfolio, like Paper Paul or something?
Robuster Robin und der natürliche Nils. So actually, we I think in 2020 we tried to bring up a barrier paper in the market. It was at this point of time with Mitsubishi, which has one of the first barrier papers on the market, and it didn't work. And then it took us only 5 years to develop our own barrier paper structure. And actually we can benefit from our mothership, which is Siegwerk, which are developing coatings also. And here we now develop basically our own paper structure. But why did we basically develop our own? It's also a modular approach, because what we can see currently, there is not really a one-fits-all barrier paper, so you need to have some modular aspects in it. So, for example, having maybe the possibility to decrease the sealing layer to a minimum and then use ultrasonic sealing, this would be really, really interesting. Yeah.
Jenny, what are your experiences with the ultrasonic welding solutions? Or maybe from your customers?
Yeah, ultrasonic welding, of course, my experience is aroma protection valve, which is a real smart technology to weld it onto the package, and especially using mono materials, it brings a lot of advantages. You have a very good visual appearance, especially also for peelable materials, and the process safety, tracing and cleanness, especially when machines are standing still. There is a moment when the material is in between the sealing jaws or punches, and ultrasonic is really a big advantage on that. And also on a Fuji line, this can be a big advantage. It's the same. It really brings a lot of efforts to the operators because
Mr. Ito, what are these benefits for the operators?
Operators.
Yeah.
No
when they use the ultrasonic solutions in your machines.
For operators, maybe it's safe actually. No heat. It's actually there. So this is one thing. And for the operation, for example, like a chocolate company.
Yeah. For the whole process. Let's say for the whole process.
Yeah. It's getting damaged by the heat. Without heat.
Okay.
So I have some. This is the ultrasonic sealing. It's Haase. So.
Okay. Thank you. So Micha, we are talking about processing to make efforts, right, with the ultrasonic solutions. Where do you see the limitations, or are there any limitations to see?
So, you also see it written here, sealing packaging, creating value.
Yeah.
And at the end, we need to have an added value for the customer. So to be very clear, so ultrasonic is not the thing to solve everything. At the end, there must be an added value. And here we also come back to what you said. The money is the point, right? You need to have an added value when you add this technology to a machine. And when you can do it with heat sealing, do it with heat sealing. It's fine. It's not just that we want to have it on a machine. There must be outcome for the customer, and he must to have more return than he invests into that. And that's very important for that driving that technology. And this is what I would say. It's maybe a kind of a limitation we would see today, actually. And we only want to work on on applications with our customer where we really create this value. Because if there is no value in, it's not really based on something that's driving the project.
Yeah. Felix, do you see any limitations where you might say there might be another solution that might be better fit?
In terms of ultrasonic?
Yeah.
Cost.
Okay.
I think, especially like just taking the example of a standard pouch.
Yeah.
And just take the normal standard pouch producing machines, which is Totani, which is Carvel, which is whatever. And just, I mean, if there's one spot where you need to exchange for ultrasonic, for example, where it's just a zipper, that's fine. But if you have to exchange the whole line because, for example, you want to have a paper pouch fully sealed or a paper bar or whatever, fully sealed with ultrasonic, then you need it everywhere because you want to basically lift out the sealing layer for heat sealing, the polymers for that. And if you then need basically the sealing everywhere, then it's quite of a big project. And then it's not only one part. And if it's more than one part, it's really, I would say, a big investment. But maybe there will be standardized machines one day, like from Totani or whatever, where they really took ultrasonic in the full line as a concept. But then I think it would be the overcome this topic.
Yeah, that's really right. That's what I mean. There must be an added value when we add the technology there because it's more invest. And these machines for the pouch forming are a good example. So we never really seriously looked into that too much. But now with the monomaterials, I would say the pain is growing with the traditional sealing method. And then the machine builders start to think about, hey, is it relevant to add more cost to the machine and I have an added value out of that? And only when this is in balance, you have a good business case. And this is what you need to have at the end.
Yeah. And I think these are the two key topics. Just to point it out, we have this collaboration, right? But with a true communication. So that, to be honest, to say maybe that's not the right solution for you, but even what Jenny said, that you still need collaboration to discuss it, to figure that out. Yeah. But so your news is we're always honest with our customers. We say when it does not work, it's not, it's a no good solution for us.
And this is part of of our business. Also our motto is bonding more than materials. And when you really want to be bonded with the customers, you need to understand the pain, the added value you could provide. And if there is no added value, you would say, because then on the other hand, you don't want to risk that bonding at the end, right? Because that customer also goes to his friends and to other partners and would say that, hey, they're just telling us something which is not real. And we don't want to have this as part of our culture and also of our values.
Okay. So if we look 5 years ahead, Felix, what will the industry have to do? Not optionally, not necessarily, to stay relevant.
You mean to the packaging industry? Do you want to stay relevant in the packaging industry?
That sustainability stays relevant in the packaging industry. What has the industry do to do all the sustainable homework, let's say?
I think I want to connect that again to what I said about recycled plastic.
Okay.
I truly believe that there's a long way to go in terms of the whole value chain, but not only in the value chain, but also how then the plastic is recycled. So I think the whole circular economy, there's still, I would say, a first step done. So 1/4 in the circle.
Okay.
Now we need to go the last 3 quarters. And I think this is...
But how many steps
super important.
are following? The first step is done. How many steps are following?
I mean, in the end, you need to recycle it again. I think now the recycling process can be much more profitable and also much easier if like there's a standardization across whole Europe with recyclable packaging. I think that's a huge step also for recycling companies to invest into something because the streams which are coming in are much more clearer, and then you can invest better, and then you can also make something better out of it. So then to use the recyclate afterwards, I think the recyclate is not even there yet. So you cannot really build machines today because you don't even have the material to do it. And then you need to solve the food grade topic. So I think there's many steps to go.
Many steps. But is there anything that will disappear completely?
That's a good question. I don't think so. I think that paper will stay, definitely. It will be way more paper. There will be definitely bioplastics coming back. There will be a renaissance of bioplastics. I'm pretty sure about that.
Ui.
And I think using recycled plastic. So monomaterials are just the first step in, like, say, normal polymers like PE, PP, going into a circle like PET today with bottles.
I think aluminum will go down. So this is something we see. We're looking for new barriers. I think that this might be gone completely. I don't know.
5 years. 5 years ahead.
5 years is too close, I would say, but it will be reduced for sure.
Jenny, what will disappear? Or maybe what will become the new gold standard?
Yeah, I think aluminum will not completely disappear because there are physical limitations on that, and you need this for some solutions. But you have to differentiate between the application and the requirements of the demands of the application. So maybe it's also about rethinking of the shelf life itself. So do I need 36 months or 30 months for a coffee packaging? So everybody knows if I use or replace the actual standard aluminum barrier, EVOH, Ciox or Alox is a bit down. It's not completely the same. So it's a rethinking also on the steps following behind the machine.
Yeah.
And checking.
So do you think
the
there will be another
requirements.
mindset, Jenny? There will be another mindset maybe?
Yeah, maybe it develops a bit further, but not completely. It's always, to consider different thinking, also maybe for the end customers using PCR materials. You mentioned it already, the printing or the appearance of that films at the moment is not that really what marketing expects. So rethink maybe.
Yeah, but gray is the new black.
Gray is the new black. Since spots are the new design.
It's not a bug, it's a feature.
So, Mr. Ito, if we look 5 years ahead, what would you say? What is the standard? Talking about machinery systems, talking about packaging machinery, what would you say?
I think this the trend keep going on. The environmentally friendly packaging.
Okay.
So, but we don't know the
so more sustainable, more efficient.
Yeah, I think so. Yes.
Okay. And also faster production. Is this something that will keep on?
Yeah, of course. Customer always request faster production, performance, flexibility. Yes, those things requires a lot.
Okay. And Micha, talking about the ultrasonic welding solutions 5 years ahead, where can we find the Herrmann Ultraschall solutions?
Of course, we will provide more data to the market. So with just our newer generation's just there.
That's what I want to mention.
With industry standard built in, so make the data available that we have today. But I'm really thinking of I'm becoming aware that we now have the wave of becoming recyclable. And the next wave will be to be recycled. So this will be the second challenge to work with recycled. And I think this will be the second challenge we see. So maybe it's two-phase. We have the first is done. The second will come soon when the recyclers provide us the PCR material. And we also need to be ready for that. We know already we're working on applications with industries. They use PCR already, and they see their process window is becoming more narrow. And we need to have a more precise sealing method for that. And this is, of course, when you come in with a precise method like our, where you have data out of the process to also quality to check that. So I think these are the steps ahead we see also for us.
But I'm in a good mood. You will be prepared.
Yeah, we're working on that, of course.
So I think I have to thank all of you for this insightful discussion. Thank you very much, Micha Augenstein, Felix Bischopink, Jenny Haase. Thank you very much for your insights, Mr. Ito. Thank you very much for joining us today. And thank you for watching us here, for joining us today. If you'd like to revisit the conversation, the session is being recorded. You can find it at Herrmann Ultraschall and at Packaging Journal. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll be back on Monday with the second live Interpack podcast 2026. a very interesting topic. And thank you and goodbye from Düsseldorf.